Hello and welcome everybody as we are here today for the GG Leagues matchup between Redbird Esports Academy and University Laboratory High School. As we are going to get it underway, we've got these pro drafts going through right now. I am your caster, Rich Rad, here with our lovely production brought to you by Bread Salesman in the background, giving us a lovely show. And as we get this underway, we will look to see some decent selections already for the picks and bans coming out. We've got a new, haven't really seen too much of this ban coming out here by Redbirds. We also have the Heckram going to be banned out, losing that mobility and utility through these types of team fights. But as we take a look here at University Laboratory, we are definitely getting rid of this misfortune because she is in such a prime position to be played in that bottom lane. And as we look to see what the second one is, just using those last few seconds, we will get rid of the Rumble. Now, with the Rumble, honestly, there's a lot of opportunity to get some damage onto a large area, specifically with the ultimate equalizer going to really cause a lot of separation in between team members onto Redbird. So you wouldn't really want to see that come out, as we've got a Master Yi. Good old Master Yi from a long time ago, where we used to see a lot of funneling to that, but ever since they adjusted it with the experience generation and distribution amongst the jungle, not really too much of a use. But it's surprising to see it banned here because, again, it's not really typical that you see it come out as a ban, even in the current LCS or LEC that we've been having a lot of tournament play. But the Zoe, I like. That we actually are presently even seeing now in the competitive scene, played a lot, specifically in the mid lane. It just has a lot of opportunity for explosive damage, huge range poke, and an ability to crowd control with that Sleepy Trouble bubble to make sure that they are locked down. But one thing I want to highlight here is I actually did have an opportunity to cast Redbird's Esports before, where you did have that usage of the Lulu in the top lane and did a substantial amount of work with it, really countering the top lane that they had from the game prior, which was a Galio. But we're going to see a Taric Ezreal pick from Laboratory on this bot lane. Nice selection here. Going into this, you're going to have Redbird be able to respond to this mobility type ADC character. Kasaya also going to be selected here. Honestly, we saw this practically so far mirrored composition from last time from Redbird, seeing if it's going to change it up a little bit. I mean, even the Lulu itself was a 4-1-16 the last time it was played in this top lane, but it didn't really have, I feel, a formidable competitor to challenge against it. Going into a Galio, I felt was not really a worthy test to the Lulu play, even though it did play so well, especially with the Chalice and that supportive item for the sustained healing and armor usage, as a Nautilus is going to come out for some hard CC, different from what we saw the week prior coming out from Redbird. Volibear, though, going to be selected and stripped away here from Redbird. Could potentially see Laboratory looked into the previous matches that were live streamed to learn about their opponent, as we are in this best of 3 for the playoffs. So Volibear, very great usage, has seen a lot more game time going into this for a jungler role, has a decent wave clear, and honestly, the amount of damage that's come out by this character from the jungle has been also very high. A good engagement, those Thunder Claws getting a lot of damage onto the opponent entering into this. As we see these last 4 bans coming through, Azir, again, not something we see as often, but a nice pick to try and negate some opportunity in the mid lane. Diana going to get taken out here from Laboratory, again, focusing that mid lane. We've got a Zoe, we've got a Diana, we've got an Azir, and honestly, even in some cases, a Nunu that is rarely played at middle, but can be also with a Victor as the final placement. Bans heavily in favor of that mid lane, and partially in the jungle as well with the Trundle. We also have the Master Yi and the Heckram. So we do get to see a blind pick here coming out from Laboratory for that 4th character. What it is going to consist of will be interesting to see how they want to fill the remaining portion of this composition. The Nautilus here from Redbird does have a hard amount of CC. Nautilus with his passive in general, the stun, the slow, the ultimate, the isolation is going to be really useful in this bot lane to try and counteract the CC and crowd control, along with the mobility that the Ezreal has, as a Yorick will come out for the side of Laboratory, and that is an interesting pick. Again, we see it so often. We've had it a few times in the past here from the Illinois division, and hoping to see that it can have some resolve and usefulness. And we've got our trusty Olaf going to be the jungler for Redbeard. Very early game aggression, looking for ganks. Doesn't have the hard CC or stun or fling even in comparison to the Volibear, but the fact that there is that true damage burst, the early opportunity for taking Dragon and objectives, and just really having that invulnerability, especially when reaching level 6, is going to be super substantial to also use as well. And we've got an LB. Who's been waiting to see some LeBlanc play? I know I have. We will maybe see the counter that we've seen happen often here, where you could have Laboratory pick the Syndra. Syndra has been a very top-level pick to try and compete against the LeBlanc because of the orb placement, the stun that comes out, but we're going to have a Talia. Unbelievable. This not yet selected, waiting to see if it's going to follow through, and it is. Now, that's the real part that I'm looking to see exactly how that is going to play out. Talia, again, I have not, in my honest opinion, have seen far too much of it. So it's going to be I'm curious to see exactly how it's going to play out here against this LeBlanc, which is most likely going to be that competitor in this mid lane. As we are waiting now for these bans to go through again, if we take a look at, let's say, the overall composition here, you've got that high pick potential with the LeBlanc diving in and out of fights. As long as Nautilus and Olaf can keep that front line fortified and prevent any sort of engagement coming out from the Volibear and the Ezreal maneuvering in the back line for that ADC position, it's going to be really helpful for Redbirds to try and keep their distance, allowing LeBlanc to focus some poke along with Kasai as well. Now, as we do get into this, you are going to see these get underway for the picks and bans. We'll see them come out. And the other thing I really want to focus on here too, like I made the comment earlier, we did see Redbirds last time use this Lulu in the top lane and do so well with it that it forced the opposing team's jungler to have to really focus that top lane and assist there more often than not, allowing the other lanes to flourish. Going against a Yorick, who is, again, not so heavily picked, but is capable of using that crown control, having that dark procession to really block and lock down the Lulu for no escape because there's that mobility. Also an opportunity in that top lane to really compete against it. And even more so with the ultimate usage to try and outmatch it, getting those minions and that just creature from the Maiden out to deal some damage against it. But the Lulu has some sustainability with the ultimate to try and survive through it, as it will come in, as you can see on the board there. Now, with a comparison between Ezreal and Kai'Sa, I would have to say that Kai'Sa, I feel, is a little bit more in favor over the Ezreal. But with how the supports are going to be playing with their crown control and their ability to support these type of mobile characters, that is what's really going to spell this future moving in and throughout this game, as we see so often before. And again, I think the biggest thing that you're going to find Redbirds looking for is a Nautilus to get a nice ultimate onto somebody isolated away for LeBlanc and Olaf to dive in onto. Coming in from the back line, Kai'Sa keeping her distance. Now with Laboratory, they want the Volibear to get in this fight and launch a character. You have to find an early pick on this to probably synergize well with the Yorick along with the Taric to make sure that there is a long enough crown control to keep that individual, whomever they get on the side of Redbirds, picked off and taken down. And with the selection right here, comparing it to the, the LCS, to the LEC, this is something that is not so ordinary. A vast majority of these heroes selected are not in the typical pool of selection. It is, like I said, already a rare sight to see a Yorick and a Talia from this division so far from Illinois that we have had. And as we get those final selections coming through, we got the few seconds before going into our break, and I cannot wait. It's been interesting to see how Redbirds played last week, now going into the playoffs. This is where things start to increase. You have the best of 3. It's not just a solo match. So if you do have that win, you have to carry that momentum into the second match to continue keeping your foothold. And as it is also the playoffs, I am extremely excited to see how well this type of gameplay is going to be. The intensity increases. These teams have come together through thick and thin to lay everything out on the line here. And it is going to be one exciting matchup to start out again for this best of 3. And to be fair, we've got a lot coming up in these next couple of weeks. So for those, as we go into our break, definitely take a moment to go to the @GGLeagues. All of the social media is in the bottom, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook available, as we'll be back in just a moment, friends, to bring you the action between Redbird Esports and University Laboratory High School.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm one of the co-founders of GGLeagues, and I hope all of you guys are staying safe and healthy.
Hi guys, I'm Abby. Most of you probably know me as Not Too Shabby in the Discord, and I am your resident league manager for GGLeagues.
And I'm Griffin Kemp. I am a marketing intern here at GGLeagues. I don't work at Cloud9, I'm sorry.
Hey everyone, this is Eric from GGLeagues. With the coronavirus sweeping the globe, I know it's been a stressful time for everybody, even though we joke as gamers that it hasn't really changed our lives at all. But, you know, with that, we wanted to take some time to update all of you on how the coronavirus has affected our leagues and our company. We also wanted to share a little bit how we're helping to maintain the esports community and camaraderie during this difficult time.
And first off, really, in the interest of everyone's health and safety in the middle of this pandemic, we have unfortunately had to cancel all of our in-person events for this season. This is really not an easy thing for us to do, because we really love seeing everyone come to our in-person and final and really get to meet everyone in person. We wanted to bring some of our sweet props so that way everyone can kind of take pictures with that also. And so we really, really thank all of you guys who have worked with us to host these in-person events. And we really appreciate your excitement and hard work. And we really want to thank you guys as players who are planning on coming out to our in-person event. As a result of this pandemic, though, we will be finishing our spring seasons completely online with playoffs and finals running as planned, but unfortunately, it will just be online. We're holding a vote to see what other types of rewards you guys would want as a community. So please go to your Discord and be sure to vote in that.
Yeah, and I know that, GGLeagues has spread pretty far in terms of what states we encompass, but if you didn't know, we're actually based in Chicago. So for us here, we've all been working from home to protect ourselves and to slow the speed that the virus spreads to others, because we know that it's not just about us, it's not just about you guys, it's about our families, it's about everybody in our community, it's about making sure we're protecting each other, right? And so we're all still dedicated to bringing you the same league experience that you've had the entire time, but it's just going to be online mostly.
For sure. And I mean, even amidst all the disruption caused by the whole coronavirus pandemic, our mission to build community and really connect gamers to each other really remains the same. And so, we've seen people in the esports community, some of them being you guys, you players here in GGLeagues, organize hangouts, tournaments, events, and everything to support the community during these tough times and everything. The great thing about esports is its versatility and its ability to connect people no matter how far apart we are. We at GGLeagues want to continue connecting gamers to each other, but for now, only from the comfort of each gamer's houses.
With so many schools already in a remote learning environment, we here at GGLeagues want to make sure that we can continue to support you guys. Building gaming communities has always been what our biggest passion and mission is here at the company. And so we're thinking of ways that we can continue to help your gaming communities stay connected while everyone's away from campus. That's why for the duration of the whole coronavirus pandemic, we're offering to support intramural leagues for Rocket League and League of Legends to all interested schools for free, as a way to keep the students engaged and connected with one another as everyone's away from school. The intramural leagues themselves will be competitions that allow students within the school to play in a casual, fun way against one another. The leagues will run roughly 6 weeks and will be completely online. How they'll work is GGLeagues will set up a league on our website, make it easy for your school to invite players into the league, and then from there you'll get access to the same GG Leagues experience that you see in our statewide leagues, where we'll create the leagues, we'll update the standings, we'll create the schedule, and we'll provide referees to make sure everything runs smoothly. All the schools have to do is be responsible for getting word out about this opportunity to your community. So either blasting it in your Discord, sharing it with students that are away from school, and just getting people signed up. We'll have 3 different potential start dates for this, either April 7th, April 13th, or April 20th. And so if this is something that you're interested in, definitely let us know.
So as Eric was saying, if you're interested in, hanging out with me, my referees, some fellow students from your school, even if there's some staff who are interested, send us an email at intramurals@ggleagues.com. Put the subject line as something like, my school's interested in doing an intramural league. And please, in the body of the email, include, what state your school is in, what school, and who might be the best point of contact for those intramural leagues.
And so during these hard times, we are really thankful for the whole entire community we have here at GG Leagues. Not only us here at the workplace, but you guys who have been really a part of this whole thing kind of building up. And so it's really a strong reminder for all of us that why community is the driving force behind not just esports, but everything that we do here at GG Leagues. And so if there's any way that we can help your communities out, please let us know, and stay safe and healthy as we endure this pandemic.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we are about to get the first game underway for this best of 3 between Redbird Esports Academy and Laboratory High School. Here again, we will see them go head-to-head in this playoff match today, and it's going to be a doozy. Looking to see if Redbirds can take the same amount of dominant gameplay from last week into this match to compete against Laboratory, or is Laboratory going to really finally bring some contestable games to this team of Redbirds, who has been training hard and prepping for this, even as multiple members for the team of Redbirds supporting them in the chat are saying it out loud. No real option here for a gank. Both teams going to play patiently. You do have the placement of those wards. Got the Volleyball going to back quickly, potentially just before the match begins, to swap that out into a sweeper, typically seen with that vision, just to make sure that there is some intel near where that red buff in the top lane is from the side of Laboratory. As the minions now start to come out into their waves, you're going to see Tilt move towards that top lane to try and compete. No need to stick near the river, as below average will help out along with the Talia near that blue buff to make sure that Volibear has a healthy opportunity to work through this jungle. But there is actually a nice ward going to be placed from the mid laner. You do have Rabid Squirrel getting that placement with the ward near the the Raptors, so that you can see the transition of Volleywar and giving information to know that top lane from Slight Tilt is going to be trying to compete against the Yorick and not found out and getting taken out. A nice exchange, though, in this mid lane going to come through. As we rotate to the bottom, you do see both teams now reconvening towards that. The ADC started to take a little bit of damage. Swift needed to be careful. The poke coming out from Pepsi needs to be washed. But with the play in the bush by Nautilus, that's going to give an opportunity to try and get some early opportunity against the Taric, along with Pepsi on this Ezreal, to hopefully find a maybe tradable advantage. As you do see from that plating, you get that gold from the support. Diving in, here's a nice trade. Unbelievable here from the Talia play in the middle by Ventriligo to compete against Rabid, bringing Rabid low, and has to play cautiously. Did not mean to dive through all of that damage on the ground from those ability plates. As now you see in the top lane, consistent pressure again Unraveled Earth here in the mid lane going to be used consistently to try and block that dive potential. But meanwhile, in the top lane, you do see the Volibear and the Olaf nearing each other to potentially find an engagement. Not going to do so, as we do keep continuing to maintain and watch here. Bot lane going to press up onto this turret, not really getting too much value on the plates, going to really be careful, falling back, controlling the CS wave, already 5 CS advantage here, just over 100 gold for the side of Redbirds. Again, it's not a lot in the grand scale of things, but every slight bit counts. Now, the counter jungle comes in, Flash gonna be there here as Vern needs to get overwhelmed, gonna get tossed back by the Volibear. The kill comes through, Olaf gets the pick, but sacrificed as well. Both mid laners getting a kill as an assist comes through on the junglers. So this is a dead even trade, and what a huge response from this mid and jungle lane coordination. Blanc again almost getting out a kill and assisting the teammates, as you now see the Yorick on the top lane needing to be pretty much not too worried about the Lulu. Lulu getting poked back and forced away from the wave. Crash going to come through, but the LeBlanc in the center going to get stunned. Huge preparation in the dive from the LeBlanc. Rabid not expecting it, as Ventrilogo shows off exactly how to compete against this LeBlanc with such high and aggressive mobility. I mean, that was stellar. Just to see the placement again with those plates on the ground, and you have the slam coming through to toss the LeBlanc into the midst of it all and getting a massive amount of damage to shut down the LB. As you do see, 2 kills, a huge advantage, already 150 gold bounty. If we take a look at the gold count already, you've got just over 2,000 gold stacked up on this Taliyah in the mid game. As we now try to see some competition coming through in this top lane, you have still a little bit of an advantage here for Smurf in the top with this Yorick to compete against slight tilt on the Lulu, as we might actually just have a fellow friend here joining us a little bit late, but better late than never, my friend. Dave, how are you doing?
What's up, guys? Having a little bit of computer issues, but I'm here now. Doing good. Got the stream pulled up. Should be an interesting one.
And it is going to be, as we take a look at it. We will have that shareable view as well from Richrad to try and give you that bird's eye view of what is occurring in the action right now. As now we look to try and engage this, it will be here, as you can see, a decent opportunity to engage this, coming through some damage by the LeBlanc, but rotating to the bot lane, you do see a nice opportunity here, but still seeing Bard playing carefully on this Nautilus. I mean, not looking to push too far forward. Again, there is a little bit of hesitation in this engage as we take a look back at the mid lane, where Taliyah, again, from Ventrilogo, needs to be very, very wary of Rabid trying to compete. But we've already seen the outplay come out. Shackles coming through, trying to get the pick. The damage is there. The stun into the center is the duplication, and the damage almost comes through. The clone going to be towards the back of it as another huge amount of damage comes out onto the Rabid Squirrel LeBlanc.
Yeah, Taliyah's looking pretty ahead right now, has a lost chapter, and Taliyah's one of those champions where you just throw out maybe 2 abilities, and if you hit them, you just do chunks of damage. And now that Ventrilogo has level 6, she could look for roams onto that bot lane, or maybe top lane, could abuse the Lulu and her sort of weak early laning by herself, but yeah. Hopefully roams come out. I think that's probably the best use of Taliyah.
I'm loving those baby kittens in the top lane. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it gives a whole new feeling of Yorick's. Yes, Meowrick. I always have to think about that. That skin making him so cute and cuddly as those baby kittens go chasing after the enemy.
Yeah. Now the problem with Lulu is that once Yorick hits a couple levels and he starts split pushing, which is what most Yoricks do, it's going to be really hard to match him, because once he gets Trinity Force, he has a Claw right now, so he's definitely looking to get gold for Trinity Force. Once he gets that item, he pops out his Maiden and then just split pushes to all eternity. So if you don't match him in the side lane or send people top, he's going to get out of control, and has the possibility to take 2 turrets by 20 minutes, if not under control. And it looks like he's kind of been popping off, 66 farm at 8 minutes is pretty good.
And just the pick damage coming out from those baby kittens, throwing the minions forward to try and compete against it, as Vern, again, still trying to just situate that jungle presence. Still even here, at least in KDA with the Volibear, but slightly in favor of Volibear with the clear in the jungle just because of how Olaf is trying to transition between lanes. Volibear resetting, going back to purchase, and now going to re-enter as Talia could look to potentially move down to this bot lane. Ventriligo playing cautiously and actually going to rotate back to not lose the opportunity of clearing that mid lane wave.
And it looks like both the top lane and the bot lane have pretty good vision. So they can watch out for those two engages. But here's LeBlanc getting a good root on the Talia. Might have the damage to take him down. A Rabbit Squirrel going all in just doesn't have the damage to take Ventriligo down.
And honestly, here comes the flash, gonna try and dive in, not getting enough damage, going to force out the duplication. A chase gonna come through by the ultimate in the mid lane, will not find the follow through from Ventriligo, and is going to allow the LeBlanc to escape with a shred of health remaining.
It looks like that was a slight misplay on Ventriligo's part. It looks like he was meaning to ride the wall, but he just forgot to activate the R again. He dropped a missing ping down, so he's definitely feeling a little sad about that, but no, what can you do? It happens.
As there's some potential opportunity for engagement up near where the Rift Herald is. A lot of damage coming out. This could be an opportunity here for Just Chilla to get that steal on the Volibear. Most likely just going to be chilling away from the Rift Herald, not wanting to try and take it away, going into an unfavorable encounter. As we take a look still at this bot lane, both of the mid laners actually going to sustain after all of the fighting has begun. Lulu getting outmaneuvered here on the high ground once again as the Olaf tries to come in, looks for an opportunity. There's no mana on the Yorick. Meowrick going to have to run, crying, yelping, as a matter of fact, as the Olaf gets some decent damage. The Axe there to follow up with the slow, but cannot get the follow through from the Lulu to take down the Meowrick.
I mean, this Lulu just... like, it's so hard to fight kittens when you're at Lulu. Like, the best you can do is throw a shield on yourself, but they do quite a bit of damage. Talia finding a nice pushback. But as a Lulu main, I've quite a bit of points on her, about 200k. And she really just doesn't do well in York because her Q does she can't one-shot the kittens. And her E gets fairly blown up without items early. Like, you really need to get that Ardent Sensor to really... defend against it, and right now she only has the Athene, so not going to do much. So York just wins every trade until she gets a couple items.
And we do have now an interesting trade in the mid lane. You've got the Volibear from Just Chillin', really focusing the Rift Herald before the stun onto the turret, getting those plates comes through. Surprised that we didn't see Vern nor Rabid Squirrel jump on that, but still wanted to play reserve here. Again, they're down a kill and not too much gold, but they don't want to further extend the lead of Laboratory because Laboratory at the current moment has dominance in this top lane, drawing attention from the Olaf, even though they are at a slight disadvantage in the bot lane, where you see this Nautilus and Kaisa playing very, very well against them. But a Volibear going to come over the wall using that stun. The ward is there, will not allow the gank to come through and force a reset here for Just Chillin'.
And as you were talking about, Rampart and Bartstock are currently doing a really good job, but they haven't really been able to punish Ezreal because of that Taric pick on below average. Taric does such a good job of disengaging on Nautilus if he ever does land a hook, and that just allows Ezreal to farm up and start getting those items. Looks right now that he's going for the Man Immune, and I think for this game he definitely needs to go Trinity Force after that because his team really does need the AD damage. I feel like that would best benefit the team. But here's LeBlanc finding a second chance of Ventriligo. Drops the Ignite, but that's going to be the barrier coming out. Does she have the abilities to take him down? There's going to be a LeBlanc clone, and that's just going to be a little trade in the middle lane.
Yeah, and the fact that the clone came out when it did, that's one of the advantages that LeBlanc has, at least if it goes into a trade that's unfavorable, is that the duplicate can block a lot of those incoming earth shards from the Q, so it doesn't allow that extra burst of damage towards the end, and giving the chance to escape as the Volibear's in the bottom, Just Chillin' now, collapsing, is going to be Vern Baby trying to assist. The Axe comes through, gets the slow onto average with a nice ultimate to try and survive through it. Still a chase comes through, the ultimate, along with the true damage from Vern Baby, gets the kill. The follow through, a huge hook on the back line as the trinket comes out. It will be the clock able to survive. That one-use stopwatch for the Nautilus keeps him alive and allows a double to come through for Redbirds to now potentially transition for this dragon.
I really have to applaud Slight Tilt on the map awareness, because as soon as Volibear showed his face, there was an instant TP, and that really is what won them the team fight. She was able to drop the Grandify onto its Vern Baby to keep him alive, and also the hook coming out from Bartstock on the Talia was huge, so that's going to be a 3 for Nada. Also a dragon. going the way of Redbirds, which is huge.
I mean, you do at least get the turret here for top lane for Laboratory, but the problem is that it is not a worthwhile trade. If it was maybe 1 or 2 kills, you get the tower, a little bit more formidable. The fact that you've lost the dragon and a huge applied pressure, taking down that mid laner and the jungler to further put them at a slight deficit is such a difficult position to be in, as it's about a K gold difference in advantage here for Redbirds, as you see Lulu kind of roaming a little bit just because the turret has been lost. So it's not really too advantageous to go immediately back as we look to rotate now, allowing the Nautilus and the Kaisa to play that top lane.
Now, I'm guessing for the side of ULAB that most of their gold is on Yorick right now because he did pick up turret. He's also very ahead in farm against his laner. So Smurf top, about 40 CS up with all the tower plates, is going to have about a 2k gold lead, which is really big because now he has that Trinity Force. And when I was talking about before, he's going to start pushing really, really hard in the Lulu, who still only has the Athenes and a couple Fairy Charms. It's not really going to help her too much. So I'm expecting York to get at least another turret in the next 5 minutes, if not 2, if he gets that push again, because with the bot lane going up top right now and also the Rift Herald spawning in a minute, they should have time to create some sort of top pressure for him in order to be splitting.
That was a nice combination for the stun once again. I do have to applaud Ventrilogo with this Talia play. Haven't seen too much of it, to be honest, personally for me in competitive play, but it is really speaking volumes, at least to try and compete against this LeBlanc and also some fellow teammates on the side of Redbird, as you've got this Nautilus with the Kaisa still continuing to compete against the Ezreal Taric, which is still in favor over that Ezreal.
Yeah, I mean, Talia, she's one of those champions that has so many team fight capabilities with her roaming and also wall, but a lot of teams don't like to run Talia sometimes because of that wall. You know, it can be like a really great good, but it can also be a really great evil because it could also block off your entire team from an objective, which, you know, it happens. It's like playing Bard. It either has like that very clutch moment where it stuns the entire enemy team, or it saves the entire enemy team, and that's how you lose the team fight. So it can go either way. But here we see just chilling, diving the Lulu. That's going to be a kill picked up for Smurf top.
And that's just really nice coordination. They know that the Lulu is at a disadvantage. Why not further this deficit? You have now the escape going to come through. Smurf top not wanting to get taken out by the LeBlanc to give an opportunity of evening the exchange here, allowing a second kill for that mid laner, Rabid Squirrel. But we've got the Rift Herald again taken by Redbirds. This happened last week as well. The fact that Vern Baby is constantly on top of this Rift Herald is really substantial for an opportunity. But now the ult comes through. The Volibear trying to give some assistance by just chilling as the teleport comes here from Smurf top, looking for the assistance. Nice job here from Laboratory to get the follow-up onto this. Nautilus is going to most likely escape, forces the flash after the grapple. The jump comes through, and every member of Laboratory wants this Nautilus dead. The grab and the toss before the escape comes through, and this middle turret is going to take some serious damage and will be brought down. The kills might have been in favor of Redbirds for some time with that bottom fight, but now the objectives and the kills are in favor of Laboratory.
Yeah, ULAB have been doing a really good job of using this Yorick to its full potential, and you saw like that little, you know, that little skirmish with Nautilus. It might have seemed a little interesting to some people why they would blow so many resources to get him, but you have to understand that once you get rid of the CC on the side of Redbirds, you're allowed to just let Yorick push turrets, and with the Demolish and also the Maiden, he takes them so quickly, and he's been able to get 2 turrets in about 15 minutes, which is what I kind of predicted earlier. So yeah, it's really coming out to its full potential. That's going to be mid turret almost going down, just needs one more auto, and it's actually not going to go down at all.
Nice coverage here, getting that wave clear again. Yorick starting to give some assistance with the rest of the team. You've got the Ezreal as well, hyper-focusing those frontline minions to get rid of them, so the long-range ones are still capable. Nautilus going to miss that hook, though. As Bard presses forward, the turret's going to go down. You have to see Laboratory fall back here to try and regroup as the Dragon looks to come up shortly. 15 seconds. You already have Redbirds prepping for this and looking for an opportunity.
There's a little bit of a level discrepancy. Just Chilling is sitting at, well, he's chilling at level 10 while it's Vern Baby's at level 9. So that could mean the difference if it does come down to a smite fight. But Talia has wall. Tarek also has his ultimate, so they could maybe contest this. But Ezreal, on a bad reset, they're not going to have the numbers advantage. That's going to be another dragon going the way of Redbirds.
And it's stacking up now. You've got the Mountain Drake for that defenses, for the armor and magic resist. Now you've got the health per 5% as we look to have the Cloud Drake affect this map for that extra swiftness between the jungle packs along with the opponent's side, which we've already seen. Again, those two objectives already down in the top and mid lane here for Redbirds, and almost seeing a second turret in the mid lane, which is going to open up a lot of opportunity for roam potential and a more aggressive playstyle from Laboratory.
Now, there is the small chance that they just gave up that dragon so they could get four wind dragons, which would be pretty good on them. It gives them a ton of golden on their ultimates, and I think they do have a lot of critical ultimates, like Maiden. Having that up like every minute would be super good, but below average MLG gonna dip out and then dip back in, playing with our emotions right now, but he's an important member, gonna come back. Doesn't have an item completed yet. Looks like he's going towards a Zeke's Convergence. So every time he pops his ultimate, it's a little bit of extra damage for his team members.
And let's also just take mind of this. You've already mentioned a portion of how well the play from Smurf in the top lane against Slight Tilt is, but it is almost double the amount of CS and practically double the amount of gold value. So we are talking a serious advantage. And now in this bot lane, you might see the aggression come again. But you've got Vern Baby sticking close on the Olaf, knowing that this Lulu can be vulnerable if the Volibear combination from Just Chillin' works well with Smurf for another gank near this turret.
Yeah, and they're sending all these members bot to deal with this Yorick, which really just speaks measures to how strong he really is. I mean, he's soon going to be getting that Sterix Gauge, and once he gets Sterix Gauge Trinity Force, he is just extra tanky and even harder to deal with, which is why they have to send 2-3 members down to deal with him. I mean, he has that little shield on him right now. It's going to be pretty hard to deal with him once he starts getting more ahead in this game. And right now, 182 CS, as you were saying, that is more than anybody else in the game, and double what his laner has, so he is just insanely ahead. But Lulu, she's a supportive champion. She doesn't really look to win lane. She looks to win, the war by just shielding up her teammates, sort of sitting in the back line, throwing shields, throwing CC. Now that polymorph is going to be pretty good against Volibear, so if he ever runs at you, you turn him into a little rat, and he can't do anything, which is kind of funny. He turned into a bear. To a rat.
It's okay. You're just going from one big beast to a small beast. But
rats can be deadly. Rats can be deadly.
I mean,
Black
they can.
Plague, remember?
Yeah, I was just about to say, Black Plague is definitely a real thing in history, and it caused quite a ruckus. But as we take a look too, one of the things, as you see both Kaisa from Ramper along with Slight Tilt in the bot lane, at this point, you don't really have the supportive item from the Lulu to play like you do with the Nautilus, where there's a generation of gold. So you've got, it's almost as if Redbird really doesn't know exactly how to play this right now. Because if you give the CS to try and help Slight Tilt gain some optimism into this, it's going to be a deficit to your ADC. But then if you allow the ADC to take it, then Lulu still continues to maintain a bad position in a CS count. And now this dragon is going to be coming up in a minute, and a lot of warding near that bot lane. This engage for team fight is still, I feel, in favor of Laboratory.
I really want to see ULAB fight this dragon, because so far they have just been seeding dragons without much of a fight. Gonna catch Lulu right here. Here's Volibear. Nothing really coming out. Ezreal also gonna come out. Not too much damage. Now, here's what I like. They're sending Yorick top. Looks like they're gonna be seeding another dragon, but this could be an inhib turret if they don't send a single person to respond. He has Maiden popped. He has Demolish. And it looks like they're going to be seeding the dragon. Now, Lulu is backing, but can she really deal with him? He has Sterix and also Trinity Force. Is that a heal blown? No.
I don't believe so. No, you're okay. It looked a little misleading there, and you're going to see this turret go top. And like you said, the third turret, just before the inhib is open now. And at this point, You have Laboratory in such a dominant position. They already have the poke potential onto Redbird, and you've got the Yorick who's able to outmatch the Lulu any day right now. So at this point, do they sacrifice throwing another person back to halt the Yorick, or do they take advantage of Redbird and claim the dragon?
Now, both winners have TP. I really think that ULAB should contest this. They shouldn't just give another objective up. It looks like LeBlanc's actually answering the mid wave. They have the opportunity to engage right now. Are they going to look for anything? Looks like no. If York was finding the opportunity to TP, I TP right now.
That true shot coming through in the back, getting some decent damage onto the Bard. The stun going to be there. The invulnerable as well from the Taric from Average as the follow-through comes out. You do have Just Chillin' with the Volley Bear on the front, getting the stun. The just massive amount of damage from the Ezreal, completely routing this team of Redbirds. Overwhelming numbers from Laboratory, claiming the last lives here of Slight Tilt. The slow, the flash for the melee. It's not going to matter. The entire team of Redbirds has been obliterated and takes the dragon on top of it and looks to rotate towards this Baron to attempt a just post 20-minute match.
Yeah, ULAB really set that fight up really well. They had the flank ward for Smurf top. They positioned in a way that really cut off the Lulu and then also the Nautilus from the team, so they were able to first kill LeBlanc, which would be a threat to the back line, and then they turned immediately onto the ADC, which is a threat to the front line, and then they sort of just cleaned up from there, taking out the Olaf and the Lulu, and that's going to be not only a dragon and not only a Baron, but also that top turret, because York went top and was able to get pressure there. So now York with Baron can get even more turrets, and it looks like he's just going to need the reset here, but once he comes back, he's going to be popping, because he just picked up 3 kills, and he's also at 237 farm, which is still twice as much as Lulu, if not more, so he's could be getting another item. Looks like he did, perhaps. But yeah, he has quite a bit of gold. Twice as much as Lulu. Sitting at 12k right now. 13k.
It's so much that we're talking, it is an entire completed item advantage, not only against your opponent, but even your teammates. You've got 3,500 gold more than the closest in proximity, which is going to be just over 9k from the Talia in the mid lane by Ventriligo. And honestly, at this point, I can guarantee you the Yorick, like you said, it was mainly for the objective play to compete against Redbird, but the fact that how well Yorick's been doing, it's not only the objective play, but also the team fight.
Yeah, and another one I want to talk about is, as you were talking about before, Ventriligo does insane burst damage. Last fight, you saw her land the pushback on a one enemy, and it just completely blew her up. That was LeBlanc. So it's also really been effective for these team fights. So that combination of Yorick, the sort of that damage over time, slow burn, take objectives, and also the quick, the quick one shot from Talia is just really good for their playstyle. And they've been using it really effectively by just sending Yorick in a side lane and then doing a 4-1.
And with this Baron buff, it's going to give super minions not only to the mid lane, but to the bot lane. Again, Yorick able to hold their own by themselves with this trying to compete clear from Rabid, but it's just not going to be enough. This inhibitor has been opened up, and you just get some poke damage as now the super minions are going to move in. The clear is not going to be enough. This will most likely be the inhibitor as the stun comes out here by Bard. Moving in with the Nautilus. You do have a lot of healing going onto the Volibear. Just chilling, going straight into the back. The ultimate from the Ragnarok comes out onto the Olaf to survive through it as the Lulu ultimate keeps Rampart alive, but now redirected towards the bottom inhib. They've lost the fight on the side of Redbird, but still look to claim this win because the inhibs have gone down for Laboratory. ULAB is in such a dominant play right now to take down these Nexus turrets and wants to claim the win here and now at 27 minutes. A shutdown at least comes through, and now the foundation for ULAB starts to shatter. Just Trillin getting aggressed on by the Olaf. You have Ramper in the back starting to get some poke damage. You have to see this engage start to fall back for Red, so they do not move too far forward. The Yorick getting the kill. The Meow clawing at them. The baby kittens looking to get so much value as the Talia ultimate into the Nexus will be here. That is going to be this first round in this best of 3 going to ULAB, and we're gonna have to see how Redbirds looks to try and take this next match to make it an even 1-for-1, my friend.
Yeah, that game was I usually don't say this because I think top lane is probably in one of the worst states it's ever been, but that was a little bit of a top diff. And in combination with that mid play, the Talia did a ton that game. So those two members alone, Ventriligo and Smurf Top, definitely take my MVPs for at least this game. Let's see if they can keep it up next game for sure.
Agreed. I mean, and Smurf in the top lane, again, did not do as much damage as the Talia. It was still over 11,000 damage, surpassing the entire opposing team. Redbirds alone, even with the Kaisa, could not surpass the amount of damage thrown out onto the team. And honestly, with this scoring and looking at what is ahead, it's really going to have to be Redbirds trying to find a way to actually compete against a top laner that is playing so well. We saw the Lulu last week. It worked. It's not following through in this week. Will they be able to adjust their composition to take the second map? We'll be right back in just a moment. And in the meantime, definitely find out more information about the upcoming playoffs in the next few weeks with the information below in our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as we're going to go to a brief break and we'll bring you the second round very soon, friends. Welcome back, everybody, as we are now going to get the second game underway of this best of three. Redbird's unfortunately going to fall short to the Meowric in the top lane, ultimately giving so much help and aid to the team of Lab, as now we see this picks and bans coming out. And Dave, what do you think we could see Redbirds look to do to try and not allow the first match to go the same way into the second?
Well, the first thing I think they should do is not go for like a cheese strat with the Lulu top, because I feel like it could be effective, but Smurf top just has such a deep champ pool that you really need to pick someone who can effectively lane against him. Now, if you're looking at people who can probably lane against something like a Yorick or something else that split pushes, that's going to be a Set, an Ornn, a Maokai, something that is just reliable, something that's tanky, and something that does well in team fights. Those are definitely all good picks that I think Redbird should be looking to draft this game.
And
Instead
as
of
we
Lulu.
take a look at what Redbirds are looking to ban, they know instantaneously that this Yorick will not see another game. Instantly going to get rid of it. They also are going to still get rid of this Nunu, which is still interesting. I find that surprising. But again, Nunu does still have his place for usage. Tarek also going to get banned out here. So despite the fact that Laboratory managed... I always keep switching between Laboratory and Laboratory because I think of Dexter's Laboratory, where he's like, out of my laboratory, and I can't ever get that out of my brain. So I apologize if I keep going back between the two. I don't know why I'm turning into Dexter. But as we look to see these selections, we've got Nautilus going to be stripped away from Redbirds and actually going to have Laboratory taking it first.
Yeah, I feel like that could be... I feel like Nautilus is a pretty good pick right now. I definitely wouldn't prio it first unless they had like a Nautilus main who like needed to be on the Nautilus. But the Thresh and Ashe going to be picked up. Now, Thresh in the Nautilus, you know, it's not too bad. I think when you're playing Thresh and you just have a big chunky dude that has a giant hitbox, you're just praising the Lord because it makes hooks really easy for you. And it's a little bit of a back and forth, but I usually favor Thresh over the Nautilus just strictly because of the outplay potential. And I think that they definitely have the mechanics for it.
And I also feel, don't get me wrong, I think Nautilus does have a lot of synergy when it comes to its ability usage for control and management. But I agree with you that Thresh, I feel, just is able to use the kit more effectively to outlast and give a more impactful crowd control on the opponent. And the fact that the box does still have the opportunity to impact multiple members within a tight region versus Nautilus trying to focus with the ultimate onto a singular target really does give that slight advantage to the Thresh. But we're gonna see a Vayne come out here from Laboratory, and that's just exciting for me. I miss seeing Vayne.
I think Vayne, you know, it really does counter a lot of those picks I was talking about before. You know, if you pick something like a Set or a Maokai, they're going to pick the Set. But, you know, Vayne, you know, shreds through health. She does percent max HP damage. So if you're going against something like a Set, you can just burn through it really quickly. And the only thing that you need to do is peel. And it looks like that's exactly what they're drafting. They have the Nautilus. They have the Volibear. I think if they draft maybe one more thing with some CC, maybe in that top lane, as I was saying, pick something that can do well into Set, like a tank. You know, Ornn is still up, could be effective. Just pick something like that, and you know, a mid laner, maybe a mage, and you're good to go. I think that is a complete draft, but we're gonna have to see what they do because they could completely curve the ball, and that could be a Vayne top. Who knows?
I was gonna say it really could be. That was my thought process. And if we take a moment too to evaluate what Redbirds is doing right now, they've got rid of the Mordekaiser, they've gotten rid of the Yorick, they almost got rid of another top lane as they hovered another, with Rumble potentially being taken out. And you see both of the two top players from Laboratory being banned out here. So Redbirds is not going to even have to worry about it and force a rotation onto new characters specifically for those two players that accelerated for Laboratory, as LeBlanc, out of spite for taking both the Yorick and Talia, LeBlanc will no longer be available here for Redbird.
Now, Zoe is actually up right now, and they banned a lot of the Zoe counters, so maybe that could be something that we see. I think Zoe is a really strong, and that Sleepy Bubble Trouble would definitely do lots of work against the side of ISU. But who's to see? I mean, they're going to be picking their mages right now, so that is going to be a mid counter pick. So, as I said before, I think a mage in the mid would be good, and then a tank top would definitely be helpful, and that's exactly what we're going to see, the mage mid. Now, let's see if I can get a 2-for-2 tank top. You know, Ornn, Maokai, definitely favorable champions to have with a Vayne on your team, just something that can peel. And now Victor is a very interesting pick because, you know, it's usually not picked too much, but recently he did get some minor changes and buffs, so Victor is actually a mid and late game cerebral assassin. And
it's going to be Aatrox. I was going to say Aatrox coming out on top, so Vayne is going to reside in that box. And, you know, I'm liking the type of composition that Laboratory is bringing into this. I mean, you made the comment, especially with the Vayne, and the fact that you have, you know, Redbird selecting the set into that type of, you know, percentage-based shred ADC who can just melt it despite not being in the same lane. I mean, those silver bolts are going to cause a lot of issues to this team as long as Laboratory can keep, like you said, that coverage and peel for the Vayne. If that's going to be shut down, you've got now the crown control from the Cassiopeia going to come out. But we also did see Redbirds play the Cassiopeia with huge success last week. You had Rabid getting an 8-1-10 in the mid lane with such grace, competing against the opponent in the mid lane, and I'm curious to see if that's going to now carry over into this, going to a comfort pick to try and outmatch this Victor with the crown control, and honestly having the J4 as a very early game engage and ganker to hopefully try and snowball into that early game lead for Redbirds.
Yeah, and as you were saying, the fact that he now has his Cassiopeia, it's going to be essential for ULAB to really, you know, make sure that he doesn't get ahead, because Cassio, if she gets ahead, she's going to absolutely shred through a Vayne who should be shredding through everyone else. So as long as you can get rid of that major threat, you know, Vayne should be having a field day. So I think what they need to do is just play safe early, make sure Vayne doesn't get, you know, 0-3'd before 15 minutes, get some items on her, and you are chilling for the mid late game.
It's going to be, I think, a lot more between the Vayne and the Volibear and the Act. I think J4 is going to look to really try and give more attention to that mid and top lane just because of the matchup between the two. I've seen a very few opportunities with an Aatrox versus the set. The set did very well in competition, but after some adjustments into the kit and how the grit works, it's made it a little bit more on par between the two, and I think it's going to come down just to the skill and usage and management of that grit generation from the set to really see who can prevail in the top lane.
Yeah, so have they gone in the game yet in the Champs League?
No, they are still looking to just do the picks and bans as we continue to kind of just really discussing the composition here. And even when it comes into, I definitely would say, of course, with Vayne being this hyper carry, the late game is going to be critical here for Laboratory, which is a little bit interesting because they played so well in the mid game last time. I'm curious to see how their long run play is going to be. And you made the comment too about the Yorick. The fact that you focus the objectives, you have them keeping on top of the objectives, forcing those different types of strategies versus the team fight. In this case, with the Vayne, with the Victor, and how this composition is going to work, I could see it leading into that late game, which we really haven't been able to see how either of these two teams have played in this best of 3 today.
Yeah, I think one thing that really benefits both of these teams is like a really aggressive early game. You know, sometimes we don't know what we're going to see because I think both teams definitely have the possibility to just pop off early game, but they also have that very, you know, passive, let's just wait and see what happens until mid game. Like we saw last game, ULAB, they just waited until they basically just waited until they had the Yorick really ahead, and then they said, okay, let's pull the trigger now. But I think it could be beneficial to pull the trigger earlier. With that, with the set, Jarvan Cassiopeia, it could be really good for them just to, you know, get ahead early. As I was saying, if Cassiopeia gets ahead this game, it's going to be hell for Pepsi.
It really will, and as we allow them to go full throttle into this map, we will see if it's going to be Redbirds managing to take this second map here on red side, top side, as we will go to a brief break so you can get yourself some more snacks, some more drinks, and get yourself prepared to see if Lab is going to take this 2-0 best of 3. Redbirds bringing it to a map 3, friends.
Hi guys, I'm Abby. Most of you probably know me as Not Too Shabby in the Discord, and I am your resident league manager for GGLeagues.
And I'm Griffin Kemp. I am a marketing intern here at GGLeagues. I don't work at Cloud9, I'm sorry.
Hey everyone, this is Eric from GGLeagues. With the coronavirus sweeping the globe, I know it's been a stressful time for everybody. Even though we joke as gamers that it hasn't really changed our lives at all. But, you know, with that, we wanted to take some time to update all of you on how the coronavirus has affected our leagues and our company. We also wanted to share a little bit how we're helping to maintain the esports community and camaraderie during this difficult time.
And first off, really, in the interest of everyone's health and safety in the middle of this pandemic, we have unfortunately had to cancel all of our in-person events for this season. This is really not an easy thing for us to do because we really love seeing everyone come to our in-person and final and really get to meet everyone in person. We wanted to bring some of our sweet props so that way everyone can kind of take pictures with that also. And so we really, really thank all of you guys who have worked with us to host these in-person events. And we really appreciate your excitement and hard work. And we really want to thank you guys as players who are planning on coming out to our in-person event. As a result of this pandemic, though, we will be finishing our spring seasons completely online with playoffs and finals running as planned, but unfortunately, it will just be online. We're holding a vote to see what other types of rewards you guys would want as a community. So please go to your Discord and be sure to vote in that.
Yeah, and I know that, GG Leagues has spread pretty far in terms of what states we encompass, but if you didn't know, we're actually based in Chicago. So for us here, we've all been working from home to protect ourselves and to slow the speed that the virus spreads to others, because we know that it's not just about us, it's not just about you guys, it's about our families, it's about everybody in our community, it's about making sure we're protecting each other, right? And so we're all still dedicated to bringing you the same league experience that you've had the entire time, but it's just going to be online mostly.
For sure. And even amidst all the disruption caused by the whole coronavirus pandemic, our mission to build community and really connect gamers to each other really remains the same. And so, we've seen people in the esports community, some of them being you guys, you players here in GG Leagues, organize hangouts, tournaments, events, and everything to support the community during these tough times and everything. The great thing about esports is its versatility and its ability to connect people no matter how far apart we are. We at GG Leagues want to continue connecting gamers to each other, but for now, only from the comfort of each gamer's houses.
With so many schools already in a remote learning environment, we here at GG Leagues want to make sure that we can continue to support you guys. Building gaming communities has always been what our biggest passion and mission is here at the company. And so we're thinking of ways that we can continue to help your gaming communities stay connected while everyone's away from campus. That's why for the duration of the whole coronavirus pandemic, we're offering to support intramural leagues for Rocket League and League of Legends to all interested schools for free as a way to keep the students engaged and connected with one another as everyone's away from school. The intramural leagues themselves will be competitions that allow students within the school to play in a casual, fun way against one another. The leagues will run roughly 6 weeks and will be completely online. How they'll work is GG Leagues will set up a league on our website, make it easy for your school to invite players into the league, and then from there you'll get access to the same GG Leagues experience that you see in our statewide leagues, where we'll create the leagues, we'll update the standings, we'll create the schedule, and we'll provide referees to make sure everything runs smoothly. All the schools have to do is be responsible for getting word out about this opportunity to your community. So either blasting it in your Discord, sharing it with students that are away from school, and just getting people signed up. We'll have 3 different potential start dates for this, either April 7th, April 13th, or April 20th. And so if this is something that you're interested in, definitely let us know.
So as Eric was saying, if you're interested in, hanging out with me, my referees, some fellow students from your school, even if there's some staff who are interested, send us an email at intramurals@ggleagues.com. Put the subject line as something like, my school's interested in doing an intramural league. And please, in the body of the email, include, what state your school is in, what school, and who might be the best point of contact for those intramural leagues.
And so during these hard times, we are really thankful for the whole entire community we have here at GG Leagues. Not only us here at the workplace, but you guys who have been really a part of this whole thing kind of building up. And so, it's really a strong reminder for all of us that, why community is the driving force behind not just esports, but, everything that we do here at GG Leagues. And so if there's any way that we can help your communities out, please let us know and stay safe and healthy as we endure this pandemic.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we are now going to bring you the second game for this lovely evening. Let me get my words right. In this Division B Illinois group between University Laboratory High School and Redbird Esports Academy. We've got a side swap here, so we do have Laboratory on the side of blue with Redbirds on red. And what do you think we're going to see most coming out here that you want to focus on amongst these three lanes or the jungle here, Dave?
Now, as I was talking before, I think bot lane is going to be quite exciting. Pepsi is going to be on the Vayne, which has insane mid-late game potential, but Bardstuck hopping on the Thresh, and I've seen it before. He definitely has some insane mechanic and playmaking potential, so I'm really excited to see what he's going to do this game. And probably the last thing I want to focus on is this mid lane. Rabid on the Cassiopeia that you were talking about before, he did really well on it a couple weeks ago, and if he gets ahead, he's going to absolutely pop off. But also Ventrilogo on the scaling mage could honestly be just as much of a threat as Cassio could in a team fight. So those are probably my lanes to watch right now.
Well, and especially the fact that you do have the crowd control capability a lot more frequently when it comes to Ventriloco, the fact that you can use it on a more baseline ability versus an ultimate that Rabid has, with that ultimate to just lock enemies in place. As you do see this focus here, just going to quickly clean up this red buff so that we do get chilling on the way with a nice, decent health value going into that next one. It's about an even clear as both of these junglers. But let's take a look at the warding. There's nothing really too deep on either side. There's a little bit of warding on the river towards where the Scuttle Crab is from Laboratory, but nothing too far further to really see where the enemy jungler is moving.
Now here's the interesting thing. Vern actually started a red buff, and he's pathing down to this blue buff, so there is a very high possibility that he could be going bot and looking to punish that Vayne, which has a really bad early game. So if they actually do find some sort of like insane Thresh hook into Jarvan gank, that would definitely set Redbirds in a good position for the rest of the game, because getting Vayne behind early is pretty pivotal.
Well, the other part that's interesting, I agree with you, especially with the fact that, the J4 is moving closely more towards that bot lane. The amount of pressure that Redbirds is pushing against this Vayne to push that, wave a little bit further forward to not give J4 the opportunity to gank is a little interesting.
And a little bit of focus in the top lane. Here comes Just Chillin', Smurf. They have had some good synergy. I don't know how Seth's going to get out of this one. Just could look to trade for kills on Smurf top, doing a lot of damage, but that's the CC coming out. And it's going to be first blood top, but also kill going away of a rabid squirrel on Cassiopeia.
Yeah, honestly, the first blood came out just before Cassiopeia in the mid, so that few extra 100 gold going in favor of Laboratory. So at least it's a trade. And honestly, Seth in this top lane from slight tilt managed to do a significant amount of damage. It was really just the timing from Just Chillin', holding on to that toss to wait till the utterly last moment to make sure that there is not an at least single kill. And now as we do rotate down to this bot lane, you see at least just some decent trading. Nothing going to be too eventful here, as maybe J4 looks for an opportunity to gank, but that Tribush is warded and doing a great job of keeping some vision there from below average.
Now here's something that I want to talk about right now is the fact that Rabid Squirrel got all the sums of Ventrilogo. Oh, here's another shot top lane. But that's the TP coming in from a Rabid Squirrel. Has the tier, could be looking for a trade. They have flashes. But she also has flash. Gonna find a kill. Could look for more. Nope, that's just gonna be a single kill. Here comes the flash flick coming out from Bardstuck. Here comes Jarvan. The flash gonna be blown from Pepsi of time. Looking for the kill on the below average. Gonna find the hook. Bardstuck on the Thresh.
Beyond average, going to
So
barely leave with the spear, going in for the dive, but the defensive shield there and does get far too aggressive. Redbirds wants the execution under the tower, does become outplayed. And honestly, that TP from mid lane for the first fight was perfectly timed. And to see the overzealous play from the jungler on the J4 was definitely not in favor, making it an even 2-2 in this kill score.
Yeah, giving Vayne any early kills, you're not doing yourself any favors. I probably would have just taken the sums and then reganked later when you know that you're not going to get interrupted under the turret or anything. But here comes Volleybird, not going to find the dredge line. They're just going to back off and likely reset.
And there was such a great quick turn, though, by Laboratory in the top lane, because that Cassiopeia is doing some serious damage. Like you said, stacking up, already has 2 kills here, and this mid lane is quickly going to take advantage of that subtle increase. I mean, just even the gold count already having 2K stacked up here, competing a nice 400 more. In the top lane, you have Set still pushing back Smurf, as it's honestly, we see sides swapped here. Lulu struggling against the Yorick, but now the Aatrox struggling against the Set.
Yeah, and as I was talking about in the post-game last game, I really wanted to see Slight Tilt on something that can match Smurf top. I said he has a really deep champ pool. You really need to pick something that can lane against him, because when you pick the Lulu, you know, you're not doing yourself any favors, but here comes Rabbit finding another kill. Gonna use the Petrifying Gaze. Could take down Just Tilling too. He definitely has the damage. That's gonna be a close double kill, but just gonna come out with 1.
Yeah, that stun from the zone from Victor was well placed and greatly timed, but the fact that that last Q just landed here from Rabid ensured the kill and almost managed to get the second, like you said, onto Volleybird. And honestly, with how much damage is being pumped out, it is going to be extremely difficult to slow down this momentum at this point, with the Cassiopeia having 3 kills and 42 CS.
Yeah, I said this in Champ Select. Rabid Squirrel on the Cassiopeia, you have to deal with him early, because if you don't, he's just gonna shred through everybody. I mean, you saw what he's doing with just 1 tier. He just has a tier and a Doran's Ring right now, and he absolutely shredded through Ventriligo, he shredded through Smurf, he shredded through Just Chilling. So he has a lost chapter now. He's just going to be doing even more damage, and as you said, he has really good miasma placement, which is one thing that separates good Cassiopeia players from great Cassiopeia players, where you're just able to zone off a bunch of enemies. So he currently has absorbed all of the gold income on ULAB, so I think he definitely has Redbirds. He definitely is going to have a carry potential, so I want to see what he does with this lead.
And now, as you do see some rotation here, you're going to have Scuttle instantly taken by the Victor play from Ventriligo, just because the catch-up needs to come through. Again, when you're down 2 deaths, it is a difficult time. You've already got that level deficit slightly. But meanwhile, in the top lane, you're going to have Smurf trying to compete against Slight Tilt. The damage comes through Grit as well. The rotation by the Victor. The drawback will get Set taken out. You have the Showstopper just dodging that aerial of effect. The ultimate comes through. You have a follow-up. Smurf going to get the kill, and a flank here could come out by Vern, but against a 3v2, it's not favorable to Redbirds. But the fact of how well Cassiopeia is in this match, especially now getting that itemization, could really compete.
Yeah, now one critical mistake that Slight Tilt made was missing the flash on the Aatrox chain. He got pulled back after he flashed, which is that's a feels bad moment where all that ground you just made just gets retracted. So couldn't really do much about that. He likely could have just gotten out if he held onto the flash. You saw him use the Power Slam on Ventriligo. Likely could have just flashed after that. He also burned his W, which is a critical ability. So I think maybe Redbirds needs to clean up their communication. I think maybe they should have let Slight Tilt know that members were coming up, that Ventriligo was missing, and he probably could have had time to prep for a gig.
Yeah, and again, like you were saying, with that ability used so early in that fight, with it being on such a lengthy cooldown, it is very difficult to recover from it, because you're just a sitting duck at that point, and you have to look for the engage. The Grit comes out, the damage is there, here comes the pull back into the center, the chains do land, even amounts of health between the two, and no Grit available. Trying to charge here to maybe find an engage. Nice stun. The Grit going to be built once again, hopefully to surpass that 50% to look for a more advantageous fight, but just going to go ahead and hold off, clear the few minions that are low, and reset.
Yeah, Slight Tilt, once he gets the Power Slam, is pretty effective. Now, Ventrilogo, you can see the pings coming down. He is letting Smurf know that his laner is missing, and I think that's really important for all sides of the map. They need to know when Rabbit is missing because, as I said, he's on the Cassiopeia. He's really strong. Gonna look for the Power Slam. He's in turret range. Gonna throw down the W. Gonna get some good chunk, but it's just not enough to take him down.
That was a great strategic play, though. Playing high risk, high reward here. And we see it typically when it comes to players like these, especially when it gets into this playoff. You have to make those types of plays to hopefully turn it around, especially in a matchup where you're best of 3 and you need to recover from a deficit that was so heavily in favor of Laboratory. As now you do see some decent plates taken off here from that bottom turret on Laboratory's side. You do have this Ash Thrust surpassing the Vayne Nautilus, especially with the lane presence, despite the Volibear. Honestly, you just have Ramper continuing to apply pressure and want even more turrets.
Now, one thing that is coming up soon is the Dragon. It's going to be spawning in a minute. And a critical thing for the side of Redbirds is that they don't have TP on set. But, you know, who is going to have TP up in a minute? It's going to be Smurf top. So I think there should be some bot lane focus soon. I think Just Chillin' should be hovering bot, looking for vision, and that's exactly what Vern is watching out for. He's looking for the Volibear. I'm actually going to spot him on this top side. I think they should be setting up vision right now. They should be making sure that they don't get punished for this summoner discrepancy. I think Redbirds definitely need the Dragons this game.
Ooh, Vern going to try and look for an opportunity, not going to find anything that follows through. And you've got now this Volibear coming out from Laboratory. We saw a lot of dominant play by Redbird multiple times on this Rift Herald, and it looks like Laboratory is actually going to take a chapter out of Vern's book and make sure to get that early to try and compete and have presence on one of these turrets.
Yeah, that's pretty well played from Just Chillin'. He's just going to strap the Rift Herald. He knows that he has top lane presence, that Smurf top can come down at any moment. He also knows that on the side of Redbirds, they can't really take. Oh, looking for the skill, not going to find it. He's a little bit caught out, though. He has the flash. But is he even going to have time to get there?
Oh, barely
Ends
does. What a great slow, though, just wearing down the health value. And worthy attempt here by Vern. The fact that he was not able to have his life stolen, further putting that Volibear in a more beneficial position to try and engage is really critical. As this top lane looks for a pull, gets the turret shot off. They're going to come out with the W as well. But nothing more than just a few health bars taken away from that Aatrox on Smurf.
Yeah, Aatrox soon is getting to that point where he's a little annoying to deal with because he has that lifesteal on his passive. And he also, very critically, has the tabbies, which is going to, make sure that he's not taking as much damage from this set. So it's kind of like a weird lane because they both have, infinite sustain. They both have sort of like a way to regen health, and they also don't have mana cost, but does have the power slam, slight tilt, looking for an engage and not going to find it. And now has the flash up while Smurf has this up too, so you can see some interesting play, and it looks like they're going to be looking for a dive here. Now, as I said, he does have the ultimate, he does have the W, could likely end up not dying here, could maybe even find a kill, but the Ash Arrow, not going to find anybody.
Was so close, just weaving out of the way. While you have a second dragon going to be taken by Redbird, it will be now the Infernal for the third, adjusting and changing the map, lighting it on fire and opening up some passageways. As an engage comes through, you do have Smurf going to just maneuver out of that W quickly. Slight tilt, not going to get the damage that they would have liked on this, and are in a very difficult spot. But the J4 here by Vern going in, jumping, potentially going to have the ultimate, does get the Cataclysm onto Smurf. Looking for that reposition by Tilt, actually going to flash into assist. The Showstopper also going to try and pick that last remaining member off. The set goes down, a flank in from the Victor play by Ventrilogo, taking down the J4 on the flash escape, and now you've got 3 members top going to completely shut down this turret and try to attempt a few plates on the second, maybe.
Yeah, Slight Tilt is getting punished really heavily in both these games right now. You see so much presence being spent top lane, just chilling. I think that's his third gank of the game. just looking to punish as hard as they can and get Smurf Top ahead, because I think Smurf Top has been a win con for ULAB, and he has been.
Yeah, he's been playing, and I can guarantee you if we were to take a breakdown of the stats overall from multiple games and just how they've been really going, not only against their lane counterpart, but just the team fights in damage output and assists as well, has been very substantial, always involved and participating in these. As you're going to get a nice stop here, it's going to prevent the back onto below just slightly, as the Thresh might look for a hook as well. Really just delaying this back is going to be an opportunity to now get some extra damage onto it. The hook comes through. The follow potentially with the box in. Ramper's arrow looking for the kill onto the turret. A follow through with the hook, at least going to bring them onto the turret. And it does get an even exchange. Despite the loss, below average manages to play above average and take the Ash with him.
I definitely agree. That was an above average play and also an above average outcome for ULAB. They got a kill, and the kill that they got on Nautilus was given the Thresh. Not that good, but here comes the play from Slightstilt. Gonna find the knockup, has the slam, but it's gonna be a double stump from Ventriloco. Still has the slam, gonna pick up the kill. Is he really gonna pick up the kill?
Almost gets away in the back, but does go down. The redirect onto Rabid survives in the thick of things. The damage from the Volibear going to come up short. What a great play here, but going in favor of Redbirds, trying to even the score, still slightly favored with Laboratory, but the fact that this objective has been claimed in the mid lane is going to open up some great opportunity for Redbirds to transition even further into this mid lane.
Yeah, but they're kind of sitting ducks right now. Smurf Top gonna pop the ultimate, and they're just gonna chase Bartstuck down, gonna blow the flash on Vayne. That's gonna be a double kill going her way. Now, right now, things aren't looking too good for Redbirds. I mean, they have a really insanely ahead Cassiopeia, but the two win cons for ULAB also have a bunch of kills. Vayne has 4 kills right now. She's getting items. And Aatrox has, he picked up a turret. He has so much lane presence. So I think this game, it's a little bit, in favor of ULAB, but depending on how this mid game goes and seeing if this Vayne is able to just take over the game, I think ULAB definitely are in the driver's seat if they make the right moves.
I mean, and you do see the critical completion of Blade of the Rune King for the first item by the Vayne. You're just having almost a completion here for Ash from Ramper to try and compete. And again, that Blade of the Rune King is so helpful when it comes to this Vayne play. And just the passive outright, the ability to follow up with that extra movement speed on the just pursuit is huge, especially in these types of fights, that if you can get an early advantage, Laboratory has so much acceleration with the Volibear, with the Vayne, and the follow-up from the Nautilus to pick off the remaining members of Redbirds.
I think another win con that Redbirds has is Dragon Soul. They currently have 2 dragons. The last game we saw them also get 2 dragons, but after that they lost 1 dragon fight, and from that 1 dragon fight they lost their Nexus, so I think positioning around Dragon could be, should be really important for them. And you see, that's what they're doing right now. They got this little death bush set up, waiting for someone to walk inside. Will you take the chance? And I think ULAB kind of sniffed it out because they have vision all in their jungle, and they're not seeing anybody.
Yeah, they are very aware of this and wouldn't want to risk it themselves. You actually see a bottom rotation coming out from Just Chillin' up near the Dragon, going to get rid of that sight line. Jarvan going to go in with the Cataclysm. Nice toss outside of it, but you've got Rabid with the Cassiopeia starting to whittle down that health value. Ultimate comes through to lock down below average, but some distant effects from Ventriloco with the Victor. Can't get enough to push this back as numbers advantage go in favor here right now of Redbirds, as you have below average not in the fight, a 3rd dragon claimed, looking for the 4th, and that is going to be a great fight here to help continue closing the gap for Redbirds.
Yeah, Redbirds, they really played that one well, and they're playing around their strong side. They're letting Rabid Squirrel, take the spotlight, just play around him, play where they need to be, let him do the damage. I mean, he absolutely shredded Volibear and also Nautilus, so making sure that those 2 people weren't a threat. They're able to pick up the Dragon. Smurf Top probably could have TP'd and looked for a fight, but instead he goes for the push. And, that numbers advantage, that good macro play is what's going to allow Redbirds to go to Soul Point.
And in the bot lane, you do see this chance to continue pushing, going to clear these minions quickly as a back buy is going to come through. You can take a look. It's just a significant amount of just gold stacked up in that bot lane. And you do have the Ashe at least finally completing the Essence Reaver and has the boots as well. So the heavy movement, you've already got that extra crit coming out from Cloak of Agility, just really trying to